Travis Reeder warming up his tires in the GT Radial S13. And we are ready to see Taylor Hull in that Comp Cams Cadillac ATS-V.
There's that question mark with Jeff Jones, right? Whether or not he's going to be able to make his competition timeout. As we said prior to coming into the show, he actually wrecked, and he had to call his competition timeout. Now, he did have a bye in that round, right? And it was interesting. We asked all three of the drivers that had byes if they wanted to run their byes in the top 32. They said yes, and knowing that if they did that, they would have to show up to the line for the top 32. And we're seeing a consequence of agreeing to do that here, where they are scurrying to look
at all the teams there. Sorry to cut you off there, Ryan, but you're seeing Rad Dan's team, Rome Charpentier, Jeff Jones, and multiple teams trying to thrash to get his car. And it's so unfortunate. He had a bye run. He drew the right number. Somebody drew the right number according to him, and he gets that bye run. And now, unfortunately, he might not advance in the top 16 because he can't make his bye run. That's really unfortunate.
Yeah, crossing fingers for Jeff.
Yeah. Here we go. Our first official battle here of round 3 of the Formula J Pro Championship. Travis Reeder, he's from the Pacific Northwest. Him and Dylan Hughes grew up together, drifting here at this very track. Taylor Hull, man, he is out for blood. Just the way he's been driving, very aggressive in St. Louis. Looking forward to him. He got very emotional in St. Louis. And I know his wife is cheering him on. She's his spotter. And here we go. As Travis Reeder, his girlfriend, and his spotter as well. Reeder throws it in. Here we go, right out of the gate. Taylor Hull throwing it down very quickly. Look at that. Travis Reeder really high on the bank. An old red, they call that vehicle. Ooh, looks like Taylor Hull does exceed the edge of the track just a little bit. Looks like one tire. We'll have to back that up, but Ryan will wrap out about on the replay. Transition in that final outer zone. See him shimmy his way into it. And there you have it, Ryan.
Pretty good start here, all things considered, and still having some areas on the course that are a little bit slicker than others, and we'll point that out as we go through the replay here. Taylor Hull chasing down Travis Reeder. Reeder gets a nice initiation at the third standing cone, so very early there. You can see there's that third standing cone, but right out of the gate, Taylor Hull dives in, gets on that back bumper. Now, as we progress onto the bank, you're going to see Hull drop down a little bit. He's going to be on a slightly tighter line, whereas Reeder kind of stays out wide. This is where that separation started happening. Now, coming down into this second outside zone, Reeder hits it pretty well. Hull goes a little bit deep there. Both drivers missed the third outside zone, though, that Reeder was a bit deeper there. Nice job on that inside flip. And Hull taking the proximity there, as Reeder was able to get into that final outside zone really well. We heard Ryan Lontaine talk quite a bit about that final outside zone in the driver's meeting. Now here's the eye in the sky, Jared. You can see a little bit of that surging motion from Taylor Hull as he goes a little bit off that like second outside zone. And you can see the difference there in the line approach, getting a good approximation of what transpired all in one. And there's Reeder hitting that final outside zone coming through the finish line.
I just got the chills, man. I'm super stoked to be here, wrapping out with you and giving the fans what they want. That was a really great perspective. Really gives you an idea of how talented these guys are. Again, you're going from the dry, you're going from the wet. It is doable, kids. So let's throw down, send it. Here we go. Taylor Hull will be out front. Travis Reeder in that chase position. Here we go. Send it for the second half of this battle. Sopa on the Ropa. Break out that soap and clean it down. Here we go. Taylor Hull initiates. Coming into initiation, but now he throws it, sticks it to the wall. Taylor Hull high on the bank. Reeder a little bit lower here, but man, look at that proximity from Reeder. See, can he make it out to the outside zone? Taylor Hull does. Travis Reeder does not, though. So again, very familiar with this track. Travis Reeder, the Walmart greeter, I like to call him, saying hello to Taylor Hull. Oh, and look at Hull slapping the base big time on that last outside zone. And Travis Reeder looked like he came to a halt. Let's back it up. Wash, rinse, repeat, Ryan.
Well, before that last section in outside zone 4 happened, I was thinking, you know what, we're probably going to be comparing the chases because Taylor Hull came out like a rocket, nice initiation, and was putting down a really solid quality lead run here. You can see same kind of thing happening, a little bit of a lower line from Reeder, but Hull is nice and high, maintaining throttle, does a good transition into outside zone 2. Here it is again coming off of the bank, really setting himself up nicely to drive right through that second outside zone and the third outside zone on the edge. That's what I was saying. The lead runs look pretty similar, but here we go. This last little section, Reeder dives in, comes up really close, and it looks like he has to pull out a drift there while Taylor Hull lost a little bit of angle in that last outside zone. However, he was able to pull it off. Now, Ryan Lantain, if we could go to you real quick, what was the interpretation as we see this drone shot on that final section there?
Well, what you're going to see from Travis Reeder is that he's cheating the line a little bit from inside clip 1 to outside zone 4. And that's something that we say in the meeting. We say if you want to cheat a little bit to kind of gain proximity, do it, but do it quickly. I don't think I cheat this late in the run, though, because trying to get that proximity at that last little bit, you can see here that it bit him because he ended up ahead of Taylor Hull a little bit there on that last corner, and he got too far ahead, had to choke up and spun out.
And there it is, the outcome. Taylor Hull advances on to top 16. Oh, it's got to be absolutely gutting for Travis Reeder. This is his home track. He's got his family. He's got his girl out here. And unfortunately, it ended up biting him. Like you said, Lantain, very unfortunate. Taylor Hull gets the victory, Ryan.
You hearing those screams?
Yeah. I mean, just
she is happy,
gutted.
as she should be. It's a great run there. Good start for Taylor Hull.
Yep. Yeah, the screams from that was Taylor's wife screaming there. So, but yeah. So again, congratulations to Taylor Hull. He's moving on into the top 16. There we're looking at Rad Dan's Toyota Supra there as we are getting set. What's the update on Mr. Jones? We are yet to find out. Next up, the Goosh. Man, again, LZ. Who was he dealt? He was dealt Forsberg. He was dealt, was it Osbo?
Yeah,
and then
Forsberg
now
and Osbo.
Gucci. He is being every single pro battle. He has had a day oneer of Formula Drift since 2000. Or no, sorry, a champion of Osbo. He hasn't been around since 04. But Gucci, Forsberg have. And here's Adam LZ. And I found out that they actually they had to swap his engine out as well from, I believe, Thursday to Friday, his 2J powered S15. And then you got Ken Gucci. He said he likes the wet. We'll see how he handles it here. And it's changing conditions, ever changing. But we are hearing, Ryan, unfortunately, okay, that Adam LZ is ready to go. He's ready to throw down here. Ken Gucci will lead in that Rowdy Energy Toyota Racing Toyota Supra. Adam LZ, here we go. Let's send it. Gucci out front. Adam LZ in the chase position through the start chicane. Let's see if this FD rookie can take down the OG, Ken Gucci. Ken Gucci throwing it down. Big angle there on the bank. Adam LZ, couple car distances behind. Still mimicking the angle. Man, really holding on to that angle. Coming out, down to the power alley. Adam LZ quickly dips that back left. Chromed out, blinged out. Three-piece wheel, now transitioning into that last outside zone. Good flick by LZ. Gucci does not get all the way out there, neither does Adam LZ. Ryan, this looks like, by no offense is this an offense, but it looks like a Pro 2 battle there. We saw the kind of, they need to tidy it up here on the second run. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Well, another takeaway is that was also probably the most complete and settled that we've seen LZ so far in the tough battles that he's had against former champions. Now going up against a veteran in Ken Gucci, you can see Gucci kind of starts pretty high on the bank. LZ was trying to maintain the correct line. He falls back a little bit. Gucci now coming through the power alley here. You can see as he comes off that little dip right there, that decel zone, gets right in that second outside zone. A little bit tighter there is LZ, and he's using that to gain proximity, so he's making a little bit of a sacrifice. But nice dip in there to try to gain proximity, but then again, he will be on a little bit of a tighter line. So I think this is the best LZ we've seen so far in the times that we've seen from the 2 rounds in St. Louis. And Ken Gucci's definitely going to have to step up his chase game here, because now we've seen LZ was able to keep proximity, even though he didn't follow the exact line, like in this section here. You can see he doesn't go out to outside zone 3. He did keep the pressure on and a nice little flick to tuck up on the inside to try to follow Ken out. And came off the line a little bit, but still pretty strong performance overall. Yeah,
it's a weird transition. I think LZ's got to have a lot of nerves here. I mean, with this S15, so really, interested to see how he does. Now he's got the clean air. Ken Gucci, a new car for him, obviously the brand new GR Toyota Supra, the Gazoo Racing. And for Ken, he's feeling it. Again, he wants it to rain. He says, my car likes the rain, so I'm with it. Here we go. Adam LZ will lead racing as it's really fast on the bank. Great angle, man, really throwing down. Not shaking Ken Gucci. Oh, look at the LZ, massive angle now coming to the power alley. Oh my goodness, Ken Gucci absolutely smoking it off of the bank and exceeds all 4 tires off. Ryan, that could be really devastating for the Goosh. Coming to that last outside zone. Oh, man. Oh, very unfortunate there for Gucci. I think he was shaken coming off the bank, Ryan.
Yeah, he definitely did not help his cause there. And coming off the bank, from outside zone 1, that really long outside zone that basically is the entire bank. Has been problematic for some drivers in terms of finding the proper speed and momentum to exit the bank. You can see Gucci starts losing a little bit of angle here. Probably realizes, you know, I need to catch up, but I need to get on the right line, and almost the car starts understeering. As he comes through the smoke line, he goes 4 tires off. So that's going to be an incomplete in the chase, and I feel like that's going to be pretty hard to overcome just because LZ did not incomplete in either of his runs. So this right now, we're on the precipice of a pretty big upset here for LZ, who may be getting his first win in the Pro Championship.
Ryan, what's really interesting here is, sorry, real quick before we bring in Lantain, look at LZ, how long he stays high on the bank. I mean, that's a great line. And to his defense, basically, it seemed that Ken Gucci couldn't hold on and hold that angle as high as Adam was. And even in the chase, he still held that higher line, which is incorrect from a chase driver, but he still had that high line. Lantain, we're going to bring you in here. What's your assessment?
Yeah, what I wanted to say is that you can see that there's a difference in grip level from outside zone 1 on the bank down to the infield, and it's one that some of the drivers are having a little bit more trouble with. But Adam LZ held it together. He just dropped a tire barely over the line, and Gucci had a poor line from end of outside zone 1 to that area, and you can see that he just overshot. That may have been a dry or wet thing. You know, it may not have been due to the wet, but he just kind of had himself positioned. You could see he had low angle at the end of outside zone 1. He was lower than Adam was, and it just got him into an awkward position.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Ken Gucci, but you know who's stoked? Adam LZ gets the win. Adam LZ will be moving on into the top 16. We'll be saying his name for the first time in pro competition as, you know, again, being dealt a couple difficult hands and another difficult one here. Very unfortunate for Ken Gucci. Again, a day oneer since 04, Ryan. Yeah, what do you got? So as Ryan, we are hearing, let's get an update. Jeff Jones.
Yeah, I mean, this is the nightmare that nobody wanted. You know, the drivers that had buys decided to run them in the top 32, and Jeff Jones was not able to make his competition timeout after crashing in practice, and he is out of competition, which leaves us with an open bracket from Jeff Jones. So that is unbelievable and really crazy news.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate there for Jeff Jones. As so Taylor Hull will advance into the grade 8.
Right into the grade 8.
Yeah, so, but all things considered, he does need to complete his bye run. And looked like his car was running. He was looking good. So there we have it. It will not be Jeff Jones versus Taylor Hull. That will be a scratch for Jones. It'll be Hull going against nobody because Jeff Jones wasn't able to run his car. Oh, very gutted. I saw his wife's here with him, supporting him here. As we move on to our next battle here in the NOS Energy Drink, top 32. Congratulations to Farouk, just proposing to his wife, originally from Poland, now living in Northern California. Michael Essa in Southern California. Here we go. Send it. FCP, Euro, Achilles Tire, BMW. Here comes the SGK Performance S14. All right, coming now on the bank. Here comes Michael. Oh, boy, Farouk comes in slamming some doors. Well, holy cow, Farouk. Zero chill, Farouk.
Well, we kind of saw that, I think, starting to materialize quite a ways back, Jared, as we'll go back and take a look at this. Farouk, after he initiated, kind of fell back a little bit, started to get on a lower line and tried to gain some proximity. When we got into the second outside zone, things got a little interesting. So here it is. There's the initiation. You can see he starts falling way behind, trying to catch up here. Michael S. is on a nice high line, just right below that top marker. Now Farouk is going to start closing the door here as being on a tighter line. He has to angle up, and he swipes the bumper of Essa, and it looks like it causes Essa to lose drift there. And then one more tap right there as the confusion and chaos kind of caused a second incident. So unfortunately, I believe that is going to be at fault for Farouk, which means Michael Essa will have an opportunity to look at his vehicle without having to utilize a competition timeout. We'll still have to assess what kind of damage Farouk had from those two bits of contact there, one resulting in a collision, meaning that the run stopped, and he is still on course right now.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing there was not only was there one hit, and that's like, okay, you know, you're getting aggressive, but the second one, way off course, and unfortunately, I think Farouk did himself in there maybe. You know, I mean, he's got the critical side going to the backside of Michael Essa. Very unfortunate for Farouk and, of course, for ESSA. So we are taking an NGK spark plugs competition timeout. Do spark plugs time out? They sure do. And timely spark plug replacement not only prevents fouling and provides the best engine performance, it ensures less repair time. It can save you money on unnecessary repairs. Visit ngksparkplugs.com to learn more about OE suggested spark plug intervals and find the best plug for your engines. NGK, the ignition specialist. Hey, Laurent Nickel, you caught up with another top 16 competitor, Taylor Hull.
Is on a hot streak. This is his second advancement into the top 16, and you told me no tears today, just excitement. But Taylor, congratulations.
Thank you so much. We made it again. We had a really good battle with Travis this time, and we had a really good battle with him in St. Louis too. And we lost to him there and got a little bit of redemption this time. Knocked the left rear of the car off in the process, and you know, my crew's going to get to work. We'll get to work with them. We're going to be ready for Jeff Jones in top 16.
Thank you so much. And unfortunately, Jeff Jones didn't make his bye run. So we'll look at that and see who you're going to.
All right. Thank you, Laurent Nickel, and thank you. Man, I think the Cowboy hat's bringing some luck there. Taylor full pull hole, pulling in the top 16 as, again, the NGK competition timeout is being utilized there by Farouk.
He may have just been learning right then and there that Jeff Jones timed out, and he's got a quick pass into the grade 8.
Dude, stoked. So here we go, Frederick Osbo, and it looks like he'll be going against Jonathan Narin, a Formula Drift rookie, Moss Energy Drink top 32. And Frederick Osbo, who we saw take it to the top at round 1 on the debut of that brand new Rockstar Energy Drink Toyota Racing Toyota Supra. And again, Jonathan Narin being dealt a difficult hand here. He knows who he's going against. He knows the history. Can he deliver? And we are clear to send here. Osbo will lead on this first run. Get that number 4 seed, Jonathan Narin in the 29th. Only 3 buys here in the top 32. Again, Jeff Jones, Dio Shahara, Vaughn Gittin Jr. Here we go. Osbo initiates Narin. A very late entry rolling into it. Bye. Here goes Frederick Osbo. Norwegian Hammer dropping it like it's hot. Look at that 3-wheel motion there from Frederick Osbo coming down. Narin now gaining some ground in the power alley. And look at Osbo just wrapping around that front clip. New car, old car, give me some of it as Osbo brings across the finish line. Amazing performance there. I think Jonathan Narin, you know, I think he was just dumbfounded, like, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I mean, Osbo's strategy is pretty transparent. It's basically go out and run a absolutely killer run here in the lead position. You can see late initiation there for Narin, almost past that last standing point, and that's certainly going to hurt him because of the weightiness of the big bank and the lack of proximity here. Osbo getting off the big bank at the right time, coming through outside zone 2. Narin realizes, I got to get close to this guy, so he cuts the line to gain proximity. Probably a smart move, but now he really has left the door open for Osbo to have kind of a mediocre chase run in order to move on into the top 16. And watch the initiation. Oh, he just gets it right there at the last standing cone. So that's going to be okay. No incomplete there. But he is really playing catch up on the big bank. And as Osbo gets that second and third outside zone right at the edge, you can see Narin finally gets up right to him on that inside clip. But by this time, it's really hard to make an impression on the judges. And then he does not fill that final outside zone.
Loving how Osbo is really just adapting to this new ride. I mean, he did not skip a beat from last year to this year. Would you agree, Ryan? I mean, it's very impressive.
Yeah, his ability to adapt from one chassis to another is a real sign of a high-level driver. And the thing that stood out the most to me in St. Louis was just peaking at the right time, giving the judges a little bit more every single run. Yeah,
I always call that the Tanner Faust effect. He always had we hit a cone. Looks like we'll get a restart there. Tanner Faust was really just notably known for that. I mean, he just would always get it dialed in. There's Farouk thrashing on the car, but Tanner was always just kind of, you know, you'd see the knob just being turned a little more, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah, you tend to get a little bit more out of these athletes that know that they have to, you know, kind of stand on top of their previous results, whether it's an individual rounds results or it's actually within the top 16 to grade 8 Final Four, and Osbo definitely has that ability.
Yeah, and you have to think, oh, there's the clock. It's ticking down. We got just over 2 minutes left for Farouk and that NGK Sparkplugs competition timeout. Papadakis Racing has crafted multiple championships, with Tanner Faust behind the wheel at the helm. Frederick Osbo, he's won a championship with Papadakis, and now, with the addition of Ryan Turk, they talked about it in that video. I said, wins here, and there we go. So, yep, let's slide it on over. Here we go. Jonathan Aaron. He tapped the wall there. Comes out swinging. Not even have to tap the wall on initiation. He throws it in, lacking the angle, but look at Osbo. Look at that. Just a karma chameleon, man. Like, you can see him mimicking that angle. Comes in on a tighter line. Avoids that outside zone as Naren leads. So this is an ideal chase run here. Oh, Naren transitions into that final outside zone. Ryan, very interesting line there from Naren. This track is very intimidating. Talking to who was it, Mata last night, he said it's always been a dream to drive this track. This is a very difficult track. They make it look easy.
It's got so many different variables to it, and I think Osbo coming into this chase run here was trying to play it, as conservative as he could, but still keep the pressure on, and he did a good job of that on the bank. It looks like he timed the initiation appropriately, got right in there, and then once he started to get in areas where the track compresses and it becomes a little bit more difficult because the momentum swings as much, he still did a pretty good job of following Naren where he needed to go, kind of moving around and making those adjustments. But really on the big bank, that's where he excelled. And remember, Naren really wasn't in the fight there on the big bank, and that's going to weigh heavily on the judges. Naren does do a good job getting into that first section of outside zone 2, but he misses the inside clip, and that allows Osbo to kind of tuck up a little bit here as Osbo does come off that last outside zone, however.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Naren. Have seen him develop over the years, and it was really cool, his introduction into Formula Drift Pro competition. He goes against Vaughn Gittin Jr., who Naren, and Vaughn have forged a relationship over the years. They're both Mustang bros. Naren was on the team, but unfortunately, I think his day is done. But remember, we still got a round tomorrow. We got the doubleheader, and there it is. The Norwegian hammer drops in his direction. The gavel, there you go. Frederick Osbo gets the win unanimously, taking out Jonathan Naren. So Frederick Osbo, who's currently tied for second points-wise. But Ryan, you were going to elaborate on that earlier. They're tied for second, but they're actually not because break it down.
Yeah, when you have a tie in the championship standings this year, the way that the tie is broken is by the last round's position. So you had Odie finishing higher than Turk, so that is a tiebreaker. And that same kind of methodology will be used if we happen to have a tie by the time we get to the end of the season. It's the previous round's results and who was highest.
Yep, Irwindale in, what's the date there for Irwindale? Again, normally would be there next month.
Late November.
Late November, crazy, bonkers. Looking forward to that. So Michael Essa, Farouk Kawai, we'll see if Farouk can get his car back up to the line to finish out the second half. All right, we are hearing that Farouk did make his competition timeout. He called it, and he'll be going against Michael Essa to finish out the second half. And Lantaine, I'm going to bring you on here real quick, just for clarification there. And as we're bringing in Lantaine, Farouk was at fault there. Did the needle go either way? Was that, elaborate, please, on the Farouk Essa.
Yeah, it was clearly Farouk's fault in that case. He wasn't on the appropriate line, first of all, and got into the side of Essa at outside zone number 2, and then when Essa kind of straightened because of that and went a little off course, he then plowed into him a second time, which, we had a couple of conversations quickly about, was that unsportsmanlike? I think it was just probably a little bit eager,
Right.
to stay in proximity and just wanted to be close to Essa. So we're not going to go into that, but he does have an incomplete for causing that and going, in that way. So, yeah, definitely at a disadvantage at the moment, a big disadvantage. Farouk needs to put down a killer lead run here and hope that Essa makes a mistake in the chase to have any hope of, getting it one more time in this case.
Literally, WTF, what the Farouk.
What the Farouk?
He has shirts, so that's, again, that he has shirts that say that. Here's a replay of that first battle here, and I like how you brought it up, unsportsmanlike. I think it's more of a case of, we know that Farouk is very passionate. He drives passionately, he wears his heart on his sleeve, and I think it's one of those indications here, and Ryan, just wrapping out with you more, it's telling a dog not to eat and putting a bowl of food in front of him. That's the scenario here with Farouk. All right, yeah, Ryan Sage, what say you about that? That's kind of a bummer there for Essa especially.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's definitely no ill will at all from Farouk there. This is a really hard track. The track conditions are not 100% dry. He obviously didn't get the greatest jump, but he put himself at a big disadvantage, and it's a risk to take. But now he's got an uphill battle here because, as Ryan Lantane pointed out rightly, he needs to have Michael Essa incomplete in the chase, which is much more difficult to do when you're in Essa's position, because you can lay back a little bit and not get an inactive chase and not really have to deal so much with the car behind you.
Yep.
And the pressure of that, thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want to make a mistake, I don't want to make a mistake. He can kind of sit back and play conservative. Now, of course, we have seen this happen before, so we'll keep our eyes out and see how it goes here in run 2.
Here we go. Farouk, again, just recently engaged, talking to the drivers, but he says he's got a broken foot. He went to go propose to his now fiancée. He broke his foot in doing that. But right now, here goes Farouk, throwing it down, much different out front, as Farouk really dropping the hammer. And big angle there from Farouk. Quick little correction going to that second outside zone. Now coming through the power alley, Michael Essa, like you said, Ryan, he still needs to hit all the clipping zones and the clipping points. Now brings in that final outside zone. Looks like Michael Essa puts it together. I still would like him to run tight. I know at the last round of competition, he texted me and said, hey, man, I'm down a cylinder, something's up. And he said, he wasn't going to be 100%, but when he had that buy run, he looked strong. So his car is definitely looking back 100%.
Yeah, sometimes when we see where a driver in the chase position is going up against a driver that's got it incomplete in the lead, there's kind of two strategies. It's give him a little bit of room on the bank and then reel him in on the power alley and the inside. There's also like an Osmo strategy, stay super tight on the bank and then kind of back off where needed on the inside. Essa kind of did an in-between here. He had some moments where it's not even a questionable call, right? We're not considering he didn't incomplete, but he did what he needed to do, got the job done, and he'll be moving on into the top 16.
Right on. We're about to send it here. Scott Harder, thanks for tuning in. Remember, hashtag FDSEA. If you're watching, let us know on IG as well as on Facebook. Hashtag FDSEA. Scores are in. Slide them left for Essa, right for Farouk. And there we have it. Michael Essa gets the victory. Michael Essa gets the win, and he will be going against Adam LZ, as LZ defeated Ken Gushi earlier. So Essa and LZ in the top 16. We'll see again Taylor Hull going against Ghostman on second, as unfortunately Jeff Jones couldn't make it. Right now it's Frederick Osbo waiting to see, will he go against Ryan Turk early on in the top 16? Ryan, we saw these guys 1 and 2 at round 1. And we could see them, or is it Jonathan Castro? So Toyota knocking out their fellow Toyota fam here. One way or the other, it's either going to be Ryan Turk or Jonathan Castro.
This is a battle that we highlighted in the opening, Jared. We have seen Castro in moments of his career really do things that have made us stand up out of our seats, so to speak. So yeah. I don't.
You almost cried.
Yeah, that was honest, there was Ryan, a big moment. We always talk about that at least once a year, but Jonathan Castro definitely has some top-level chase abilities in him, and this is an opportunity right here to play the role of spoiler in the championship. Only 2 rounds in, can he do that? Ryan Turk currently sitting in second place in the championship, tied with points, however, with Odi Bakshis, and this is an absolute must-win for Ryan Turk if he wants to contend for the championship.
Here we go. Ryan Turk will lead in that gum out Toyota Racing Toyota Corolla hatchback. The Jado Metal Dom Toyota Racing Toyota 86. Powered by Jonathan Castro. DR's watching. I know his wife is in the building FaceTiming their kids. And here we go. Ryan Turk hammering down really high on the bank. Oh, look at Castro. Little bump and run. Unfortunately, looks like it throws Castro off in this scenario. So he gets thrown off and goes shallow into the power alley, now into that front clip. Now transitioning, bringing around Castro, taking out that front clip and bringing into that final outside zone. Both of them getting out there. Barely see the back end as the Nitto tire smoke gets kicked up in Castro's face. Let's look at it again, Ryan. And Castro aggressive. He looks very hungry, but unfortunately the hit threw him off.
Yeah, severing the side skirt. Now let's watch the smoke line of Ryan Turk. If it stays consistent here, which I believe it is, he may have been making a little bit of adjustment there right before the decel area, but Castro was on a tighter line. Looks like he was coming in a little bit hot. Now Turk bravely stays in it, and Castro as well makes an adjustment to keep this battle going, because it wasn't an easy hit. It was a pretty rough hit. Could have basically caused a collision there where the run stops, but both drivers kind of stay in it. The attacking continues. Castro does go, looks like 3, almost 4 tires off of the yellow course marker there. So if the judges see it the same way, he could be at a big disadvantage. Ryan Turk, through the remainder of the course, is able to get through that inside clip pretty well. And then wrapping through this final section, you can see he drives right along the wall with Castro in tow. He does a good job to recoup that second half of the battle.
Yeah, excited to see how Castro's going to throw down here. He knows what's in that vehicle. Papadakis Racing operates and has built both of those vehicles there, so they're very aware of what's going on. As it looks like the teams are taking a look, inspecting what's going on with the vehicle. And I think it really comes down to who's at fault. Looks like we have teams checking it out. And I remember actually Turk, that right-hand side took a big hit in St. Louis as well. So, man, that car taking a licking. As we take a look at it again here, I know the judges want a different perspective.
Yeah, let's Ryan, if we can, let's bring you in. You guys requested this secondary replay. What's the notion kind of behind the thought process here?
Yeah, we're trying to ascertain fault for the contact. It is just before the decel zone because that's still in outside zone number 1, which is very early for a decel. The decel should happen just before outside zone number 2. So what I'm looking for here is a break in the smoke to see if Turek did decel significantly. I don't know that he did decel up there. It would be really to his disadvantage to decel up there. He wouldn't be able to have the momentum really to get to outside zone number 2 if he decelled that early. And I know that drivers are going to decel a little bit earlier than, yeah, you can see where the decel is there after the end of outside zone 1, before the beginning of outside zone 2. But where that occurred was probably in the last, the last third maybe of outside zone number 1. So yeah, we'll have to let this next battle, or next run of the battle go, and each judge is going to have to ascertain what they felt about that.
Here we go. Castro will now lead. Ryan Turk will give chase. And Castro campaigning this Toyota 86. Had the pleasure of wrapping out with him on the Hot Wheels Legends Tour event on Thursday evening. I was back in LA and wrapped out with him, courtesy of Mobile One, and wrapping out with him. And you know, he was really excited to throw down. And he's got, again, some friends and some family here in the building as, you know, limited fans, very low very low attendees, adhering to local law, as Castro will now lead and Ryan Turk will give chase. Again, Osbo, Turk, and Castro all operated by Papadakis Racing. Whoever wins this battle goes against Osbo. So here we go. Moving right along. Castro out front. Ryan Turk in the chase position. Oh, some shimming there as he goes into the entry. Into that big bank. Castro hammering down. Nice job by Castro. Checks it up. Little check up there from Ryan Turk. Oh, look at that. He gets thrown off. He takes a shallower line. And now transitioning into that final outside zone goes Castro. Ryan Turk just a bit outside. Ryan, interesting. It's kind of like they flip-flopped the scenario.
There's two ways to look at the second half of this battle, right? If you look at it with Jonathan Castro at fault is one perspective. The other one is with Turk at fault. Now, let's just look at this as it transpires here. And the judges, I think, I saw the hands rolling, meaning we want more replays of the first run. Here it is. You can see Castro gets a little bit of a hiccup on initiation. Turk dives right in immediately, trying to get that close proximity, being very aggressive here. That's where that decel area is. He gets a little choked up and has to come offline there, then gets back on it. So thinking about this in the context of the first run, it really does depend on what the judges think about that first run. As fault was not given because neither car needed a competition timeout. Turk getting very aggressive here. You can see Castro was a little bit off throttle as well in an area a little bit prior to the decel zone. So there may be some tendencies that are developing here, and we'll definitely want to get Ryan Lantane in to kind of give his thoughts, but it's really, I think, going to come down to that first run, Jared.
Yeah, it was interesting. Like you said, just you see the smoke trail, and you do see that lift, and he came down kind of beelined in that second outer zone. Aggressive, maybe a little bit of nerves there because it is intimidating. We saw that with Ken Taguchi coming off the bank, and he just overcooked against LZ, and that's what took him out. So you don't want to leave it, you basically don't want to leave.
There was a big break in the sound and the smoke when Castro was leading. and Castro ended up diving down a little bit early, and it kind of choked Turek up. It choked him off in the chase position. When Ryan was in the lead position, it looks like there was a slight decel, but Castro ended up making contact with him, and then they both went down. So it's a tricky situation in this case.
Yeah, as we look at I mean, this and I can hear the gears grinding in your head here with the BC Racing custom coilover instant replay there, the side by side as we are. Yeah, what is your answer as we are taking a look and see if, here we go. Do we have a winner? Are we going one more time? Slide him left. Oh, look at that. So looks like Yule saying one more time. Ryan Lontaine saying Ryan Turk. And Brian Eggert saying Ryan Turk. So 2-1. Ryan Turk gets the win, unfortunately for Castro, but Ryan Turk advances on. So Ryan Turk and Osbo will be going against each other in the top 16. So unfortunately for Castro, his day is done, but there's a whole new round tomorrow. So let's take a look at the bracket, how it's shaping up. Already a very interesting scenario as Osbo and Turk, again, first, both top 5 drivers as we are seeing Osbo and Turk go against each other in top 16. Here we go with the other Shelby Cobra, Tyler Nelson going against 3-time champion Chris the Force Forsberg. Tyler Nelson from Mooresville, North Carolina, Nass Carolina, better yet, against another East Coast boy, originally from Doylestown, PA, now living in Southern California. Got Ford versus Nissan here with 2 very different vehicles, different setups. FD Rookie versus FD Vet. Forsberg there on the start line, that NOS energy drink, 370Z on Nexen tires. And Tyler Nelson, the Shelby Mustang. There's Ryan Turk. As congratulations to him. What's the 411?
Do you guys want to take that protest? I mean, technically it is a valid protest.
You can see Ryan Turk and his team working on his vehicle, getting it prepped. He's got some time. Also, just so you know, we have a very shortened, I believe, if we're on schedule, it's a 45-minute halftime break, and that's obviously pending on if we finish on time or if we run a little long, or even if we end quicker. As of the schedule right now, it's a short 45-minute break, so be aware and be conscious of when we're back for the top 16. Here we go. Speaking of top 16, who's advancing on? This is Chris Forsberg and Tyler Nelson. Forsberg initiates into the bank. That VR Power 370Z sticking it to the wall. Very familiar with this course. Wow, look at Tyler Nelson sticking it to Forsberg. Tyler Nelson hanging right on the side of the Z. Wow, lunges to the side of Forsberg. Great transition. Nelson, oh, wow. Very aggressive Nelson. Looks like he shoves him into the wall. Woo.
Nelson has definitely got grip for days there, and that was looking like something to be worried about if you're the team of Chris Forsberg, at least initially in terms of proximity. Look at him. Gets right on the back bumper, right out of the gate. Nelson dives in right there. Now Forsberg is giving him a great opportunity because he's high on the bank, big angle there. Obviously there's some angle differences. Chris is running a very clean lead run, comes down in the right section, gets to that outside zone too. But here he comes again as we see him coming down off the bank. Different camera angle, and then diving right through the smoke line into outside zone number 2. Then through the smoke line on this one more surge, and boom, runs right into him there, and looks like it went into the door. Not seeing any big damage.
I think
initially.
Tyler was blinded by the smoke.
Yeah,
by the smoke.
He kind of crossed over, came in on the inside, and he was looking really aggressive there in the chase, and that's always a good thing, even if you're making a few little mistakes here and there. But obviously, that final one looks like it was looks like it is going to cost him, because clearly they're coming through the smoke line, and being on a tighter line seems like it is going to go against Nelson.
Yeah, right. Nelson didn't even fully transition before the contact. You could see that he was still rotating, and I think it was just a poorly timed transition. Probably, like you said, the smoke blinded him as well, and it just it was a bad situation. And he did tap him already before inside clip 1.
Yeah.
Just after outside zone 3, there was already a couple of taps in that area. You could tell that he was trying to be aggressive, and everybody loves to put an exclamation point on their chase run right at the finish, right through that last corner, whatever track we're at. And I think that's what Nelson was trying to do there, and got a little too aggressive and didn't time it right.
Yeah, very unfortunate. He, would you say he T-boned him there? Old Tyler Nelson T-boned?
Yeah, I think he T-boned him. So let's have a look at it again. So right here as they transition, you're going to see Tyler has low angle. There's a tap right there. And I think he gives him another little one right there. You can see some parts falling off. So take a look at Chris here. He gets the car transition well, handbrake pull that everybody does there, but Tyler just drives right into him, and you can see the car actually continues to rotate because he wasn't fully at angle when he hit him the first time. Then Chris bounces off the wall as he was kind of pushed over there.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't seem malicious. It didn't, you know, again, I know Farouk got pretty aggressive there. He's hungry, but you got to think that that Nelson, he knows who he's going against. He's going against, you know, one of the best of the biz here as far as Forsberg, and he always finishes really strong there. You saw that flick come in, and Tyler, like you said, just blinded by the smoke. You could see right there on the door, the NOS Energy Drink logo taken off a little bit there. You could see Forsberg trying to signal to his team, all right, all hands on deck. Let's get this thing fixed.
You don't want to give Chris an inch, because if you do, he's going to take off. He's going to do something that you maybe can't keep up to if you drop back a little bit. So I'm sure that's what he was trying to do in the chase position, is just stick on his door as much as he could, let him get away.
Yeah. As we're waiting to sort this out here with Forsberg and see, I mean, you have to assume Tyler's at fault. Throw it down to my homegirl on the ground. Lorette Nickel is with Ryan Turk.
Jared, thank you so much. Well, Jonathan Castro came over here and gave you a hug and said sorry, and then you immediately apologized as well.
Sorry too.
I know. What were you apologizing for?
I had a mistake on the bank, and contact was not intentional on anybody's part. It's just what happened out there. And then him reversing roles when he was leading, and created an issue where he dived down the bank, slowed down quite a bit, and I had forced some contact on him. And 2 not pretty runs, but we made it through. We got the win, and we'll be in top 16. So happy about that. And yeah, me and Castro are all good. We were just like, what the heck happened out there?
How do you clean that up moving forward?
I don't think it'll be an issue moving forward. It's just a little bit of jitters, as well as just not having a ton of practice laps from Thursday into this morning. So it should be all good from here on out.
Okay, Ryan, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you so much, Lorette. Congratulations to Ryan Turk. We are hearing, actually, that unfortunately Joao Berrion, the sheriff, is unfortunately not able to make it to the line. So Joao Berrion, he will be retiring. So that means Dylan Hughes will be advancing on the top 16. Joao was going to be the final battle of 32, but Dylan Hughes gets the fast pass. He will have to complete his bye run in order to make it in the top 16, but Dylan Hughes will get the fast pass in the top 16, so congratulations to him. But again, that was to be the last battle, but just getting updates as they come in. And Ryan, this could be a lot more devastating to the Forsberg camp than originally kind of it just, you know, that right side, but I think the left side is what they were really looking at, the side that we can't see.
Yeah, did we hear anything further besides what we saw from anybody down on the ground?
No, but I believe, if I'm correct, Tyler Nelson is at fault. So Forsberg has ample time, the 10 minutes, in order to fix his vehicle, if that's enough. But so Tyler Nelson will have the deficit on the second half of this battle. So yeah, that's the updates. We'll be back with more Top 32 here at round 3 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. It's a beautiful day. Thank you for joining us. Tell your family. I have a feeling this is going to be a very exciting battle here. We have Matt Field, the Beast from the Bay, going against the lit one, Ryan Literal from the 909, bro. Here we go. Matt Field, Ryan Literal, the Corvette versus the Power Stop Brakes 350Z. So both supercharged V8s. This should be a lot of fun to watch, Ryan. I'm really expecting some big things from here.
Yeah, for sure. Matt Field was cold as ice in St. Louis in terms of his focus and what he needed to do. And obviously you can see the end results, putting him in a top 5 right now. And he is pushing. He wants that championship. He is certainly made a name for himself over the past few years, as well as Ryan Literal coming into his own. And so I expect to see fireworks here, even though we've got a lot of overcast clouds above us. It's going to be pretty hot and crazy on track.
You're as cold as ice. Willing to sacrifice his love. Here we go. As the Falcon tires, Drift Cave Corvette. And Ryan Littoral in that Power Stop Brakes GT Radial Nissan Z.
And of course, there's still the frenemies other side,
right,
that we don't know about just yet, and we won't have to worry about until we get to the right-hand side of the bracket. But it is slowly approaching us, Jared.
Yeah, the other half of that, like you say, the frenemy. We're talking about Odie Bakshi's here, and off camera before the live stream, Odie went hard into the wall. There we go. All right. As Field and Littoral, we're getting some little bit drier conditions, but announcer's curse. You still have some pooling water coming off of the bank into the power alley, as well as into going from that first clip to that outside clipping zone. Matt Field comes out swinging literally out of that start chicane. Like I said, these guys turning it up. The beast from the Bay, Matt Field. Oh, Ryan Littoral. Straightens out.
Good save.
Saves it from the wall. Now coming down into the power rally. Ryan Littoral getting thrown off the line. Now transitioning through. And Matt Field gets all the clean air, running the right line. Ryan Littoral now comes back. You can see just absolutely lights the flame. Ryan.
99 times out of 100, that understeer right there
could have been
results
tragic.
into crashing into the wall. That was a great save. A great defensive save by Ryan Littoral, but it's going to cost him in terms of judging. You can see he sees that there's a gap between him and Field. That's where the understeering starts. He gets off throttle, saves the car. Now watch, he's actually going to kick it sideways again. It'll be an incomplete in the chase. It's just way too much understeering there to be justified in terms of the judging criteria. Field, on the other hand, strong out front. It was a nasty flick into initiation. He filled that outside zone pretty well. Just got right to the edge of outside zone 3, floated it out for a second, and then back on throttle through inside clip 1. By this time, Littoral is caught up, puts the pressure on, but it may be all for naught considering the big mistake made in the chase. But certainly you got to pat him on the back there for saving that and not going into the wall. Let's take a look from above. You see that first little bit of separation, then right there, that's where the understeering takes place. And then that's where he saves it, gets back in drift, and starts closing the door on Field. But Field from above, great job on outside zone 2, right at the edge of outside zone 3, perfect on inside clip number 1. And then out to outside zone 4, just a little bit shy there, but I don't think it's really going to matter that much. What's going to matter here is how Field performs in the chase. And again, just like Michael Essa with Farouk, he's at a bit of an advantage here. If his spotter's talking to him, he can tell him exactly what he needs to do, assuming that there is an incomplete for Ryan Littoral. Means Matt Field just needs to make it through this run.
Oh, there we are in the pits of the CFR Chris Forsberg Racing team. See Dylan keeping his distance. You got Danny and the boys. And like you said, Ryan, everything was a guesstimation. But right now, that front left corner is the point of interest. So seeing, did it push anything up? We'll see if Forsberg can make it. Again, Tyler Nelson at fault with the deficit, but it's all about, let's go back to Field and Littoral. Littoral with that mistake on initiation, he really needs to throw down, but he's going to have Matt Field in his rearview mirror, who is really gunning for it. You could just see, you know, when I love when Lorette interviews Matt Field, he just wears it like a bad suit, just how hungry he is. It looks like we're going to be seeing a restart here. Yeah, so again, Ryan, is it just me or again, Matt Field, he's hungry, man. He wants it definitely more than anybody, seems like. As Matt Field and Littoral make it back to the start line. This will be a strike against Ryan Littoral. So either, you know, it's again, we adopt the traditional stick and ball sports, 3 strikes and you're out. How you can acquire a strike is if the lead driver hits a cone or the lead driver jumps the light before they all extinguish. You can see the light in between the 2 drivers. The lights go down, and then once they're off, that's when they could go. So the driver needs to wait for it to extinguish. The chase vehicle can leave the start line before the light extinguishes in order to just basically accommodate horsepower difference or basically something in regards to the driver's balance. As Ryan Literal definitely turns up now. Oh, Matt Field now makes a little wavering here. Ryan Literal definitely different from the chase into the lead. Oh, a big correction there.
Runs over.
Yeah, Ryan Literal. That is a massive mistake. And we'll make it official here. Conversing with Ryan Lontaine after this run is over. Ryan Sage chiming in there and saying, "Run's over." Is that an incomplete? That was a big correction there. Lontaine, will bring you here on the microphone if we could. And wrapping out with you, Ryan Sage said, "Run's over." What do you think?
Yeah, I'll jump in.
Sorry, yeah, you go ahead. We'll turn Lontaine. Sage, walk us through it again.
What I was looking at there was Matt Fields kind of straightening out, but I don't think it was an incomplete. But there, with that big understeer in the lead position, if that is an incomplete, the run is over from that point. So I think that no matter what happens here, basically logically, there's no way that Matt Field couldn't win. But Ryan, you tell us what you think.
No, I think you got it right, Ryan. The mistake from Matt Field on the big bank outside zone 1, it was a mistake, no doubt, but he didn't straighten. You can see right there, he still stayed at angle. He just had a quick lift to try to get the car back to angle fully. But right there is the big problem for Ryan Literal. That big understeer. Looks like he maybe has too much grip in the back, and he's really fighting with trying to keep the front end, gripped up enough that the rear can overpower it. And you can see that he was kind of angry at the end, and he floored it as he went up over that jump. And I think he got some air there, so he's definitely frustrated with what just happened.
And here we go, slide him left for Matt Field. Unfortunately, Ryan Literal knocked out, but we got round 4 tomorrow. He'll gather his pieces and get it together, and the power stop breaks GT Radial Z, as we are hearing that Tyler Nelson is now in his NGK Spark Plugs competition timeout in order to fix his vehicle. Chris Forsberg, you can see his team thrashing on his car. And Ryan, that could be some major damage there. Yeah, and Forsberg not using the competition timeout just yet. Again, we give them 10 minutes, but you could see the Part Shop Max there, all the gold bits and bobs, the suspension, the BC Racing coilovers there. Taking a look at the front end, man.
Yeah, I would really like to get some deeper information from the team or somebody down there of what exactly they're looking at here. This was on the right-hand side or the left-hand side of the vehicle, which is the part that we didn't actually see after the collision was made. So certainly,
so now we are calling a competition. Or is that from the 10 minutes? Okay, that is the 10 clock. I appreciate it. So that is the 10-minute clock. Lorette Nickel is down there. I know she'd love to interject, but definitely the priority now is getting the car together. That is a 10-minute clock, and again, that is not calling the comp timeout. Yeah, it pushed it back. Right, yeah, it's front left and back right are both broken on Forsberg's car is what we're hearing from the FD officials down on the ground. All right, so this is a bye run for former champ Dai Yoshihara. So I'm going to lay out here and just listen to the sights and sounds. Can't listen to the sights, obviously, but listen to the sounds of this turbocharged LS Subaru BRZ, the Turn 14 Falcon Tires vehicle of Slide or Daijiro Yoshihara. Listen to the sounds of the sport. And there it is, Dai Yoshihara completes his bye run. He will be moving on into the top 16. Only 3 bye runs. Unfortunately, Jeff Jones unable to make his. So, and then the other bye run will be in a little bit. Vaughn Gittin Jr. will advance on into the top 16 as well. All right, so it looks like Forsberg's car is on the ground. That is a great thing for him. You can see the alignment plates coming out as they roll it there, and we'll get the alignment plates on, making sure it's good to go. Again, Tyler Nelson did start his competition timeout. There we could see alignment plates out back. Old Diamond Fab Darren there. Getting alignment. All right, let's see how this progresses. Chelsea Denofa and Alec Robbins, and I think this is going to be another great match. Knowing the history of Denofa, aggressive, like you said, Ryan, in St. Louis from round one, as that came to an end, very vocal on social media, like I'm gonna drive the way I'm gonna drive, and that's how I'm gonna drive, and like very unapologetic. And then Alec Robbins just showing up in grand fashion, you know, just making the jump to pro championship. Really coming out swinging in St. Louis.
St. Louis is a tighter course. It's fast, slow. There's, you know, maybe an argument that could be made that kind of the separation between drivers in terms of, you know, what happens when you put a lot of grip in cars is not going to be as impactful on a tighter course like that. And so then it begs the question, how is that going to play out at Seattle?
Right.
And we've already seen from Taylor Hull that most of these drivers have stepped up their game exponentially. And I expect the same here with Alec Robbins. Obviously, this is a heavy lift here against the winner of round number 2.
Yep.
But, you know, Alec could certainly play a role here as he tries to take him on and create a big impact if he's able to take him out.
Yeah, create a rift. Here we go. So Chelsea Denofa will lead that BC Racing Nitto Tire Ford Performance Mustang RTR. He is ready to rowdy as Chelsea Denofa will lead. Alec Robbins will give chase. Picking up our sponsor there, Alec Robbins Technology Company on the side of his 350Z. And Chelsea Denofa quickly throws that back end on the wall. Alec Robbins, you can see lacking the, oh, and there is Robbins, like we said, aggressive, but it ends up biting him. He has to shut it down. Chelsea Denofa continues on, bringing around that front clip. Haven't seen that passenger side yet. There goes Denofa through the course. No problem for him. Doesn't get all the way into that outside zone, but the judges did talk about it. It's a bit wonky. It's not just a natural curve, that last outside zone. So they're not expecting you to fill the whole thing and stay in it. They kind of come halfway through the point and dip in. Yeah,
we're still seeing that grip is not an issue in terms of the general car builds from everybody, but Robbins, you can see he was having a hard time getting settled there, and as soon as he got the car to a deeper angle, look, see, he's kind of fighting the car a little bit. He makes contact with Chelsea Denofa. Denofa, unfazed, kind of sticks through it and is going to push through the remainder of the course. That could have been a lot worse than it was. It'll be an incomplete, it looks like, for Alec Robbins, because Denofa was a big smoke line there. Didn't seem to be off throttle at all. And whereas in other runs, the judges wanted to go back and take a look at it, this one seems a lot more clear cut. So if that is the case, it'll be Alec Robbins with an incomplete in his chase run and a large advantage here for Chelsea Denofa going into the second half of the battle.
So Robbins at fault here. This is going to be a great view. Look at the smoke trail. You see Robbins low on the line. He loses angle, and then he re-initiates and just slams into the side of Denofa. So Robbins is deemed at fault. Denofa is able to inspect his vehicle, get hands on it, as Robbins was at fault. Love that view. I think that's just a critical tool, and it's a great indicator, and really just brings some clarity for the judges as well as you, the fans, watching at home. No, yeah, it's Ryan Lontaine talking in my ear over here and saying, yeah, you can't hide anything from that view. That is clear as day. Just a beautiful day so far. I mean, really just sucking up this weather here in the Pacific Northwest, and hopefully everybody's staying safe with those fires here in the PNW and through California. All right, and here's a look back at one of Denofa's highlight runs as he's inspecting his vehicle, and Alec Robbins is calling a competition timeout. So Robbins calls the competition timeout. Here's a look at Chelsea Denofa in St. Louis. As we can see the view here. And this was Forsberg and Denofa. We talked about those guys very, they've had some words in the past, right?
Yeah, it was a really anticipated battle. There was a lot of kind of hype coming into it, and a bit of that was prefaced by the battle that happened at this exact track last year. And you know, seeing those guys battle again in a very important part of competition, especially for championship points, you know, in the top 16. It was a one more time battle, and Chris had an unforced error on the second battle coming from outside zone 1, or leaving outside zone 1, kind of cutting the line a little bit, and that was enough to get it done. And you can just see how ripping they were
right.
going through the turnaround cone there, still sliding through. So this was everything you possibly have, bringing it to the table here. And Denofa, you know, was obviously on one during this competition, ended up winning the event, so it was a strong performance from him. I think this is where we're going to see the mistake that was made by Chris.
Look at
This
that
was actually
three-wheel.
this was actually the first battle, so this is what led to the one more time. In that battle, Chris came through the smoke line here and was a bit tighter. Even more dramatically than that, I believe that's the first run, not the one more time. So it was fun to watch, Jared, and those guys definitely developing a more than a friendly rivalry, and they are giving us a lot of entertainment.
There is Chelsea Denofa's. This is in his pit. Again, he does not need to utilize his competition timeout. Forsberg not utilizing his. Tyler Nelson did utilize his. So competition timeouts being thrown out like Oprah here. You get a competition timeout. You get a competition timeout. And now Forsberg, minus that front bumper, he'll be chasing down Tyler Nelson. Nelson with the deficit, if you can recall, again, Nelson going hard into Forsberg, both the back right and that front left, getting some parts swapped out. So now we'll see if Forsberg is 100%, even what happened to Nelson's car as well. Nelson will lead. Forsberg will give chase the second half of this battle. Remember, the winner goes against Matt Field, who took out Ryan Literal just moments ago. Nelson initiates. Forsberg initiates as well. Looks like Chris maybe giving himself a little bit of distance here, having not gone against each other. Nelson, a FD rookie, now coming off the bank into the power alley. Nelson with that wide swing, shredding that back bumper and going over the NOS Energy Drink 370Z. Now whips it around into that last outside zone. Nelson does not get all the way out there. And I think that was a smart approach from Forsberg. I don't think that was an inactive chase. That was strategy.
the reel him in approach. You know, we talked about the 2 or 3 different approaches that you can have when the driver in the lead position has an incomplete from the previous run, and you are now the chase driver. This is Chris giving him a little bit of room. Don't want to get too far out there. I mean, that's probably as far as you want to go before you start reeling him in. And then he was able to do that, and really where he put the pressure on was in the center section of the course. And obviously we know, even with the mistakes out front, we would need to see that Chris would receive an incomplete on his chase, and then we would look at the lead comparisons. So obviously the lead is still important here, but Chris is not incomplete, fix the car, good enough to go out and attack enough on this second battle, and he'll be moving on into the top 16.
Yeah, really excited. Liking the jams. Ryan, put down the air guitar. Put down the air guitar, bro. Shredding the Gunnar here. I'm really thankful, man. I'm really thankful for the whole FD family, Ryan, you, and Jim, and the whole FD staff just being back here and putting drifting in people's living rooms and even their workplace. So, and here are the results. I have to assume they're going to slide the way of the 64. But hat tip to Tyler Nelson. We'll see him back here tomorrow. Slide him left for Forsberg, right for Nelson. And there it is. Chris Forsberg gets the win and advances on. He'll be going against Matt Field in the top 16. So that should be a fun one. Those bros are having some fun out at Grid Life and other events, and it should be a party on track in the top 16. We're officially more than halfway through our top 32 action, and like I said, we're going to have an abbreviated, shorter halftime break. Going to take a look at the schedule just for reference. Right now, local time, 12:45. We're scheduled to go to 2 o'clock here for top 32, but our halftime break will go till 2:45. And here's a look at the bracket, how it's shaping up. Like I said, more than halfway through. Taylor Hull will have that bye going into the grade 8 because Jeff Jones couldn't make it. Adam LZ, Michael Essa. Congratulations for LZ making his first top 16 pro. Opening ceremonies, he has a hard hand going against Michael Essa. Frederick Osbo will be going against Ryan Turk, so an all-Toyota battle there. Again, 1 and 2 at round 1. And Ryan Turk currently in second in points, right after Odie Bakshis, who got second and third at round 2. So here he is trying to make a run for it, and that should be really interesting for Osbo and Ryan Turk, and then obviously Forsberg versus Field. This one should be fun. Ryan, again, you've had the pleasure of seeing Masuyama in Japan, at FD Japan, and here he is. He brought his Japanese S15 over here to compete. He's going to be going against Dan Burkett, who's originally from the Pacific Northwest, now living in Southern California. The Rad Industries Gear Wrench Toyota Supra will be leading, as we're going to be seeing Masuyama giving chase. Remember, we'll go back to the second half of the Denofa and Robbins battle. Robbins did call his NGK comp timeout. Right now, no timeout here because Dan, Radical Daniel, will be leading. Kind of a slow trickle there off the start. And you can see Masuyama initiated even earlier than Dan with that straight line approach. And Rad Dan keeps it high on the bank. Masuyama, you can see him throwing. Deeper angle, Dan filling all that second outside zone. Masuyama lunging to the side, bumping and grinding into the back of that Toyota Supra. Interesting approach there from Masuyama. Let's take a look at that, Ryan. Again, coming off of that that third outside zone into that front clip. An interesting line. Looks like Masuyama might have made a major mistake.
I think we're going to be revisiting the decel map as well. He does get a pretty good hiccup there after initiation. He initiated earlier, as you said, than Rad Dan. Rad Dan kind of extended it down to the latest initiation point. Now coming down off the bank, Dan gets right in that outside zone 2. Masuyama comes through the smoke line. Let's watch Dan here. See, he's off throttle right there when they make contact. That's why we're saying that we're going to be looking at the decel map, because he got on throttle, then he got off again. And so the judges are going to have to ascertain there whether Dan was off throttle for too long of a period of time. Now remember, the decel is right past that, or right in that area, but I think Dan was off a little bit longer than he needed to be. And if we pull the decel map up again, we'll show you guys what we're talking about here mentally. See, the decel zone is right at outside zone 3, so there should not be any strong decelling there through inside clip number 1. That makes it a little bit more transparent to understand what the judges are looking at here. So I think this may be something Dan has to worry about.
Yeah, we, again, sitting here next to Lantaine. So this is going to be a good view.
And Jared, let's bring in Ryan while we have this, just to give an opportunity here before you guys give us the official result. What did you see there? Is there anything different than what we saw?
No, you're right, Ryan, and you can see from the drone shot that hides absolutely nothing. It shows everything, that Dan definitely slowed there. And what I was trying to mouth to you earlier was that Dan's front wheels were straight at that point, just before contact. You can see that he was off throttle, the car had gripped up, and he wasn't even really drifting anymore at that point. Masuyama's trying to maintain proximity and then end up driving into the back of him. Because, of course, the chase driver is trying to maintain proximity. You can't let the lead car get away. You got to be close, and you got to be on throttle proactively in those areas. And Masuyama just had nowhere to go because Dan was not drifting and wasn't on throttle in front of him, seemingly.
Yep. So with that, and is that unanimous from the other judges? All right. So, yeah, we are hearing that. So we'll be back with more, in the top 32. Denofa, we saw the contact. Robbins was at fault. He did use his competition timeout. Now, Denofa, we'll see if his car is 100%. I mean, it looked like, just got into the door. Not. I don't know. I mean, we're not down there in the pits. So Alec Robbins will lead. Chelsea Denofa warming up his Nitto tires. All right, so the judges want to take a quick look here at Dan Burkett.
I'd give you the context of this, Jared, because I know one judge wants to evaluate whether or not this right here from Masuyama, right there, and we'll see it here better.
Initiate, and then does he straight?
Wants to know if that right there is an incomplete. If it is for one or more of the judges, that would mean an incomplete for Masuyama, and then an incomplete potentially for Dan Burkett as well, which means that it depending on how the judges see it in their minds, you may see split results come the second half of the battle, right? Because if they're both double zeroed for a majority, then it's going to come down to that run.
Right.
If only Dan is double zeroed as a majority, then Masuyama would have an advantage, but you could still see some split results or a potential one more time depending on how things go.
Alec Robbins will lead. Chelsea Denofa giving chase. Top 32 action continues. And again, we have a few by runs still left to go. Here we go. Robbins, clean start. Big Snuffleupagus intake sticking out of that hood of the Z. See how Robbins handles it. He's at a deficit. He knows he needs to throw down. Look at Denofa inching his way closer to the Z, but Alec Robbins staying in it. Oh, buddy. Looks like definitely 2 tires off. We'll have to take a look at the replay. Transitioning now into that front clip. And bringing it on home is Robbins and Denofa riding the edge. Again, that's what the judges requested. Just get out there. And they did just that. So Ryan wanted to break it down and see what happened to Robbins. Was that enough to take out that mistake on that first battle for Robbins in that chase position? And also a pretty big mistake there on coming into that power alley.
Yeah, came off of outside zone 2, pretty sizable here. But I think if you're a judging fan at home, you're looking for Chelsea Denofa to make an incomplete if you want to force at least a evaluation of the lead runs. But that does not happen here. Denofa plays it safely, but also stays pretty aggressive generally overall. And I don't see a shot here for Robbins. He had clearly made a mistake on the first run. The second run here in the lead, he goes almost 4 tires off. You can see that right wheel from that shot above on the drone just scrapes the outside line of that zone. Denofa anticipates it. He kind of stays tight with them, does a great job in the chase position to get the overall job done here, and he should be moving on into the top 16.
Okay, so let's make it official. Slide him left for Denofa, right for Robbins. And it looks like Robbins' day is done. Chelsea Denofa gets the win. Denofa advances on. He'll be going against Daijiro Yoshihara in the top 16. So Burkett and Masayama are still inspecting their vehicles. So we'll move on to Justin Pollock and Rome Charpentier. As Rome, as we talked about, going to St. Louis, definitely had an interesting turn of events. And yeah, so we move on to Justin Pollock and Rome Charpentier from San Diego, California. And JTP will be leading. Justin Pollock will be leading. And Rome Charpentier will be giving chase. It's definitely a nice table.
This is another one of those battles, Jared, that, coming out of St. Louis, asking the question, what did we learn? We learned that Rome Charpentier is basically a relentless driver in the vein of what we've seen from guys like Jeff Jones in the past, never willing to give up, had a really tough weekend coming into the event with his vehicle going through a big crash, and then in competition, he just looked like out of his mind in every sense, but in a good sense.
Yeah,
and we saw some incredible driving from him here. So this is not going to be anybody you can pass over here. If you're Justin Pollock, you're going to have to drive extremely hard to get through Rome.
And I really love the way Justin Pollock has been driving in the recent years. It looks like he's behind the wheel of his old FCRX7, the way he is whipping that Mustang around. So here goes JTP initiating. Let's see how Rome handles the chase position here. Oh wow, look at that, a big gap here between JTP and Rome. JTP, this is what we were looking for. I love this. Let's see this transition. He always has these really snappy transitions. Does not get all the way out to that outside zone. Now cruising through the power alley into that, the third outer zone, past that front clip, and now bringing it on home into the outside zone. Oh, look at that. And Ryan Lontaine talking about you cannot hide anything there on that outside zone. Let's take a look at this here once again.
Good gap there by Justin Pollock on the big bank, and we'll see it as it progresses. Big flick there by Pollock. You can see the wheels were already chirping up some smoke. It gets a 4 or 5 car gap here. Rome sees it, makes an adjustment, goes down lower on the bank to try and gain proximity. Pollock makes a bit of an adjustment there to come down and get that inside clip. Has a little bit of a hiccup there. Luckily, no contact. That was past the decel zone area. Rome adjusts. Now he's trying to close the door, but falling back behind. Here it is again for another angle. And Ryan, do you see something here that you want to point out?
Yeah, I want to point out the different ways in which the drivers in the lead position are getting set up for the transition from the bank to inside to the infield. there is a grip difference there, and we've mentioned it before, from the bank to the infield, and drivers are setting themselves up so that they don't spin and overshoot outside zone number 2.
Right.
And you can see there that JTP, that is that decel zone there. He did decel, he grabbed a handbrake, and his line was a little bit inside, and I think he was giving himself some room maybe to wash out there on that wet section. But you could see that he didn't quite wash out the way he thought he would. So maybe it's starting to grip up a little bit down there, and that's going to change how drivers are going to be going through that section of the track.
It's a great observation there. And yeah, I mean, the track transforms, and adaptation, that's, you know, adapting to the track, adapting to the conditions. You know, we have not seen any rain as of this morning, and that very well could change, but we will see. All right, here we go. Rome now out front. Charpentier, JTP, Justin Pollock in the chase. Oh, look at this as Rome initiates. Big angle there from Rome, but Justin compromised, takes some angle out of it to get into the proximity zone. No social distancing on track as Rome gets really heavy into that second outside zone. And then into the third. Past that front clip, Rome, definitely some spirited driving from Rome, and Justin Pollock does not get to that outside zone. So Justin, I mean, he missed quite a few zones there. I'm very surprised, you know, for this FD veteran going against Rome, this FD rookie, Ryan.
Yeah, none of these rookies are slouches by any stretch of the imagination. Here's a shot right from after initiation. Pollock trying to close the door here. Rome getting back on it, getting that left foot braking, trying to stay solid and consistent. Coming out to outside zone 2, Pollock surges just towards that section, but Rome goes a bit deeper into outside zone 3, now whipping through inside clip 1. Here comes Pollock through the smoke line, but Rome kind of fending him off. A little surge of attack there from Justin Pollock towards the end as Rome completes that final outside zone number 4. And I'm sure that we're going to see and want to see the side-by-side here from the judges. It was a pretty close battle overall. Both drivers having some high marks, and Rome not wanting to give it away. Here it is from the air. Rome on the right-hand side in the lead. Pollock on the lead on the left-hand side. You see that separation on the bank, which was noticeable with Pollock in the lead on the left-hand side. And you can see slightly less angle there from Rome. But in his lead, Rome was doing a great job on those second and third zones. Great line here, very fluid. Maintaining good control here, forced Pollock to go a bit shallower in order to gain proximity towards the end.
All right, so as we are waiting for the outcome here, thanks for watching, TJ Hunt. Thanks for tuning in, Teach. And next up will be another Ford Mustang, a Vaughn Gittin Jr. Vaughn Gittin Jr. has a bye run. And scores are in. Slide them left for Pollock or right for Rome Charpentier. And we got a one more time there from Chris Ewell. Ryan Lantain says JTP, and Brian Eggert says one more time. So they're going at it again. This is a one more time for Rome and JTP.
That's the first.
Yeah, it's our
the
first
32,
one more time
right?
of the 32, yeah, it's true. All right, so this is Vaughn Gittin Jr. Vaughn Gittin Jr. will be sending down the pipe. We'll lay out so you can listen to the professional fun haver and that Monster Energy Nitto Tire Ford Performance Mustang RTR. He is ready to rock. And Vaughn, a former champ, relocating from his home state of Maryland, now moving to North Carolina so he can be closer to the RTR laboratory. And you could see conditions drying out, still some wet patches, and that's what we're talking about, just adapting to the surface change, not only from the bank to the infield, but also from dry to wet. All right, enjoy the sound of that X-Force exhaust, and of course the Ford Performance engine. Here we go. Oh, let's restart. Send it, bro. Yeah, and just the vehicle, the Mustangs and the RTR development just over the years, the three-wheel motion was really loose. It looked like more like an ultralight truck or a Pro 4 truck, and now it still looks really loose. That setup, and again, just hearing that they wanted to get some wet testing here, but as Vaughn Gittin Jr. moves on into the top 16. All right. As we're getting prepared for the next battle, we will. You can see this is how it's shaping up. Denofa moves on. He'll be going against Dai Oshihara. We still have the one more time, and also remember we have to finish out the second half of the Burkett Masuyama battle. Oh, look at this. Odi Bakshi's pulling to the line. He went hard into the wall earlier. You can see him tapping the wall there on that back right corner, but that front left corner was the point of contention. And Odi Bakshis and his team getting the car back up and running. It's like he's a hashtag FDSEA. So we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll continue the top 32 action here as we are continuing through the top 32. Would love for this to just hold out for the entirety of the day as we, again, have an abbreviated short break because of, normally we do the halftime so the fans can walk and meet the drivers and high fives and handshakes, kiss babies and do all that, but not the case here today. It's a no attendee event, just staff and friends and family.
We're getting through it, broadcast only here, and so we'll take a short break. And I think we will be able to get through it, but I know that there's a lot of concern about Odi Bakchis and his vehicle. Let's talk to Lorette, see if we can glean any important information. Lorette?
Ryan, thank you so much. Odi told me that due to practice crash he sustained earlier today, that his front end is pretty bent, and he and the team have been working to it for drivability. Guys, he isn't confident about throwing into drift. Guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, you could see how bent that is. Look at that. You're minus the front bash bar. You could, and it was a hard hit, man. I mean, he hit really hard.
Yeah, for context, it was the first half of the oval right after initiation, so almost straight into the wall. It was pretty tough. And now as we move on to this next battle, let's kind of give everybody a little bit more background information of what's going on here. We saw that Dan Burkett and Masuyama got into it right before inside clip number 1. The first information that we saw coming out of one of the judges was that Burkett was off throttle. He was straight. One of the other judges said, hey, there may have been a 0 by Masuyama as well. So we are kind of in an unknown state right now, and how these results turn out could be a factor of just this run or the combination of the possible incompletes that happened on the previous. Here we go.
Here we go. As Masuyama leads, initiates into the bank. Really good angle there from Masuyama. Really tight to that wall. Let's see if Dan Burkett can catch up. The bumper flapping in the wind. No big deal. He's in that chase. Holds on to it into that third outside zone. Dan Burkett jumps to the side of him, like we said. Coming off of that first battle, Masuyama does not get all the way out to the outside zone, but just barely dips his tire in. Ryan?
Well, let's take a look at this here. Obviously, San's bumper there for Masuyama after that incident. And, these guys, with that ambiguity, not really knowing exactly maybe who had the advantage after that first run, are pushing at 100%. Masuyama, big angle there, nice and high on the bank. Burkett trying to make up some ground here. You can see his car still flapping around from that contact. Masuyama just dips a tire into outside zone 2. Here comes Burkett through the smoke line, surging forward. Masuyama getting to this inside flip, late apexing it. Nice job there by him. And then on the transition back around, Masuyama's just not going to come up into the area of outside zone 4 that you want, but he does a great job on the bank. There's a bit of a difference in line there and also angle, and you can see Dan comes down a little bit low on that bank, still not able to gain that proximity or hit that second outside zone. So just to think about it, big picture wise, initially it seemed like at least 2 of the judges were going to give an incomplete to Dan for going straight and slowing down in a non-decel area, causing that contact. At least one judge said that he's considering giving an incomplete to Masuyama. So if that is the case, in that model, it would be incompletes for both drivers on run 1. And then the second battle would be the deciding one. Here we go.
Slide him left for Dan, right for Masuyama. One more time from Chris Yule. Ryan Lontaine says Masuyama, as does Egger. Masuyama gets the win and takes out Dan Burkett. So Wataru Masuyama gets the victory in his Silvia S15 and takes out Dan Burkett. So an FD rookie, Masuyama, gets the win and his first induction into the top 16. So congratulations to Masuyama. We'll go back to the JTP Rome Charpentier battle. The Garagistic BMW, the E36. And Justin Pollock in the Falcon Tires Roush Performance Ford Mustang. Here are the stats of these two drivers. Again, Ford versus Beamer. Both these guys living in Southern California. And here we go. Don't leave in the judges' hands. Rome definitely throwing down. I think JTP with maybe thinking, you know, that he could easily take out Rome, but he is, again, with his Formula Drift rookie season, no pushover. Justin Pollock comes out. Expect big things here from these guys. We just saw him do battle. Justin Pollock turning up the X factor. High on the bank. Rome could be a little higher and closer. Justin Pollock, and there you go. Ryan Lontaine talking about how the track is transforming as it dries out. Rome sharpens here right to the side of Justin Pollock. Transitions nicely, just gives him enough room as both of them dive into that final outer zone, Ryan. Really well done by GTP, and as Lontaine was talking about on that first battle, GTP maybe not or expecting it to slide out a little more that time, not leaving it up to chance.
Yeah, you can definitely tell the different setups coming into the power alley. Let's take a look from the big bank. Justin Pollock, nice and high, great angle there. Rome starting to close him down, slightly tighter line, but Pollock is able to get out to that second outside zone. Here it is again from another angle. You can see a little bit of adjustment from Pollock in the front wheels. Brakes in a non-decel area, so he got away with one there, as Rome was not totally in proximity, but then Rome comes back, dives through the smoke line, starts to push toward the end, but Justin keeps it aggressive through the final outside zone 4.
Let's go to the second half of this battle. Rome Charpentier will be leading, JTP giving chase. All right, strap it on the cameras. And we are clear to send. All right, hush falls over the crowd. It's about to get loud. Rome leading. Justin Pollock giving chase. Rome with the swing in front of the nose of the Falcon Mustang. And look at Justin Pollock right there to the side of Rome. Rome with some wavering. Let's see how he handles it. Justin Pollock, maybe too aggressive. No, backs off. Then jumps back to the side of him after that third outside zone through the power alley. Oh, look at that. Justin Pollock now to the side of the E36. Woo! A great battle. Well-deserved for one more time on the first run. Are we going to see them go again, Ryan? That was great driving by both drivers.
Well, seemingly Justin Pollock wants to make it as unambiguous as possible here. Jumps right to the back bumper of Rome Charpentier from the first corner. Rome trying to get settled here. Pollock a little bit of a lower line for a second, then he adjusts, gets right back on the bumper there. Rome just grazing that second outside zone and the third, and Pollock smartly following his exact line, and then super close here, and Pollock does a great defensive job of angling up and not making contact but keeping proximity. So good bit of driving there by both drivers, but standout moments from Justin Pollock in the chase. Here it is from the drone overhead. You can see Pollock gets right into motion here, dives in, slightly tighter line for a second there, and Rome looking solid out front on top. Good consistency through this center section, but not reaching out to those second and third outside zones. Better job on that inside flip, and then Pollock with that great angle there on that inside flip, following him to the final section of outside zone 4. So let's go to the judges and find out who's moving on to the top 16.
This is a tough one, Ryan. I do not envy the judges in this position. I'm still seeing Lantain kind of not dwell on it, but kind of think in deep thought. Here we go. So slide him left for Pollock, right for Rome. And it looks like Chris Yule says Justin Pollock. Ooh, Lantain says one more time. And Brian Eggert says JTP, Justin Pollock, gets the win. Lantain, you said one more time, so you're not the exact judge I want to talk to, but you're definitely better looking than Chris and Brian, so we'll wrap out with you. I'm joking. Oh, thanks, Lantain, going to you, bud.
Yeah, there were some real positive moments from both drivers, and I think they made a couple of mistakes as well. JTP had that handbrake pull in outside zone number 2, and Rome maybe wasn't as close in his chase run. So I kind of gave maybe the lead to Rome and the chase to JTP. I don't know. It was a tough one for me. Those guys definitely saw something a little bit more shiny and pretty from JTP, and I can see that. If I had a gun to my head, I probably would have chosen JTP. But no, your fingers don't count, Jared. But I definitely think I could have watched that one more time. That was it was fun to watch. It was good to see them both pushing really hard. And I like JTP's proximity. He was definitely being aggressive. He just could have been a little bit more accurate in terms of what his line and angle was matching the lead car. So that's why I said one more time. But again, you didn't want to talk to me, but I'm the only one with a headset. So you were stuck with me, Jared. Sorry about that.
It's okay. No, and look at this. The plot thickens. Odi Bakshis calls a competition timeout. Our current points leader after 2 rounds, Odi Bakshis calls a comp timeout, and he is to go against Dean Carney, who also had some carnage himself. As we take a look at the championship standings, you can see again Odi Bakshis and championship history. And this is I hate to say it, this is such Odi's style and what we've seen. Remember when he started the season, he had 2 wins, then goes to New Jersey, pops the engine. I mean, just so many different things, and unfortunately, some bad luck falls Odi's way.
Yeah, and obviously, it's 2 rounds. It's not, the end of the championship chase.
Of course not.
But obviously, we still have unanswered questions. He'll get back to the line. He's got to do battle potentially. But typically, if you listen to champions in the past, it's grade 8 finishes or better. That's kind of what you need, to charge for the championship. We've seen Osbo go out in the 32 and still fight for the championship in previous years, but you really want to get out of that 32 and get those points, especially when it's such a tight race like this, and we don't have qualifying as a delineating factor in the points overall, which is usually ends up pushing it one direction or the other.
All right. Enough about Odi. Here we go. So we'll see if he can pull to the line. Right now, it's Kazuya Taguchi versus Formula Drift rookie Yves Meyer. Loving how Taguchi has been whipping that GT Radio Up Garage S15. Yves Meyer, an FD rookie from Switzerland. And here goes Taguchi initiating into the bank. Look at Yves Meyer right there to the side of the Up Garage S15. Wow. Looks like Taguchi maybe got nervous there. I don't think there was contact. Taguchi just got sucked in the wall, and to be honest, Yves Meyer does not need to complete the rest of the course as he slams his back right end. So again, Yves Meyer does not need to complete it. And you can, looks like that back right wheel has been bent. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, what went wrong here, Ryan?
Well, let's take a look at it. I mean, obviously, Yves was in very close proximity. So right as we made the camera cut, that's when we see Taguchi kind of go.
Oh, they did have contact.
It looks like the front wheels may have touched there. And so, now the judges are going to have to evaluate where Yves was and what he was doing relative to Taguchi. It seems like Taguchi was, doing what he's supposed to be doing as a lead driver, driving at 100%, trying to go for that 100-point qualifying run. And it looks like the front 2 wheels touch. If we could see that again, that would be awesome. Let's take a look at it. This is from the first angle. Yves coming up. Watch the front wheels. Yeah, there you go again. So 2 different angles confirming that there was contact there. And it did end up turning into a collision because the run stopped. So that means that fault will need to be assessed. Here's the first angle, Jared, or the second one that we saw, where you see the front 2 tires, may have been tire to tire, touch there. And obviously, as soon as that happened, there was a reaction from Taguchi. Ryan Lantain, let's bring you in here. And as we go through these assortment of replays, what's your first intuition here? And what did the other judges say anything to you?
Yeah, no, not yet. They're way over on the other side. But from what I see in that replay, their front wheels make contact, and then it looks like Taguchi's front end washes out and he ends up in the wall. So it does look like it was Yves's fault, just because he did get in there a little bit too tight, wheel-to-wheel contact, and could have potentially caused Taguchi's front end to wash out due to that pushing on his front wheels. So we're going to try to get another replay if we can.
Yves Meyer already pulling up to the line. Again, we have to dictate who is at fault. And so Yves Meyer already there. Taguchi, here's another look at it. Here's the replay.
This is from the Crow's Nest here. So Ryan, if you want, talk us through this. This was asked by another judge, Chris.
Yeah, so look at the proximity here that Yves building, and then right there he makes contact, and as soon as he does, that's when Taguchi's front end washes out.
Now, Taguchi not having any smoke coming off of his tires at that point, I mean, is it wet? Are we seeing a little bit of wet come down? Yeah. Is that the main contributing factor there?
Yeah, you can see his wipers on.
Yeah.
The track it's definitely raining out there now. The track is wet again. So I think this was right at the beginning of that. We didn't even really know that it was raining until that happened, and then we looked down and saw his wiper was on. And I think the track was starting to get you can see the rain right there. It was starting to get slippery at that point. That's why we're not seeing smoke, and that's why this probably had a bigger effect on his car than otherwise it would have, maybe on dry surfaces.
Right.
Yeah, so we're going to start some sight laps now, maybe?
Yeah.
Due to the change in surface?
Yep, change in the surface condition. So we are currently assessing that. And, yeah, I definitely agree with you. Unfortunately for Yves, you want to see that proximity, but when you get tire to tire, you have to assume that the chase vehicle is at fault.
Came at a really bad time with the rain.
Yep, so it was the perfect storm, no pun intended. That is true. That is true. Yeah, Ryan Lantain bringing up a good point. He got a sight lap due to the conditions, so he gets to see how the vehicle is out there on course, and he does get to see, again, the condition of the track. So here we go. Odie Bakshi's, Dean Carney on track. Odie will lead. Dean Carney giving chase. You can see Odie minus that front bumper, the bash bar, but here we go. Let's see how confident he is. Throws it into that first outside zone. Dean Carney does as well. You can see not a ton of angle there, no smoke, so obviously it is wet out there on the bank. Slow roll into and off of that power, off the bank into the power rally. So quite a contrast from earlier. We saw those dry conditions. So just enough to make it slick as Odie crawls around that front flip. Dean Carney, good job in the chase position. Into that outside zone, dialing in both of the drivers, crossing the finish line. Man, that is a slick track.
Yeah, that I think the most interesting part for me is going to be looking at the initiation, because Odie had a little bit of a hiccup, and then I want to know how much of that affected Dean. It was a little bit before that. We'll go back and take a look at it. From that part moving forward, you can see Dean is a little bit down on angle there. Here we go. Let's take a look at the initiation from Odie. So he has a little bit of a bobble there, and then Dean initiates, put a lot of angle in the car, and then has to reduce the angle afterwards. And now we get back to this section here where we see, like you said, Jay, they're kind of going through the paces here. They're trying to find opportunities where they can attack, but it's very slippery out there. Here's Dean coming up on the inside. Odie sweeping around. Very, very slow speeds relative to this dry course, which makes it much easier to do the run replays because you don't have to talk so fast. But nonetheless, it is definitely very challenging out there.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, but man, I hope it dries out. We have this halftime break coming up. Again, we have another half of a battle of Kazuya Taguchi and Yves Meyer, and also Dylan Hughes with the buy run. You can see back there that the orange BMW wrapped it a different color here for this event, as opposed to the royal purple livery we saw in St. Louis. Here's the second half of this battle. Little slow-mo competition here, but man, just shows you the driving skill of these gentlemen. So Dean Carney, let's see how he initiates. Ryan talked about the initiation of Odie Bakshi's. Dean looks a little more confident there as Odie slides to the side of that Oracle Lighting Dodge Viper. You can see Dean higher on the bank. Big angle there from Dean Carney. Now coming into that power alley, filling all of it goes Dean Carney. Odie just a bit outside transition. Oh, and Dean Carney almost parks it. He does salvage it. Both of the drivers holding on to it, going through that wet puddle there, now into that outside zone, and bringing it all the way through. Ryan.
Yeah, it's been a tough start to the season for Dean Carney. It would be great for him to get a win here against, the leader in the series. Let's see how he does. Starts off nice and high on the bank, but Odie's keeping the pressure on here. Slow motion driving right up to the wall. Now Dean comes off. There's the surge from Odie Bakshi's through outside zone 2. Here it is from the other side. You can see Odie is keeping great proximity and surging forward, but Dean is allowing that to happen because he's running a nice line there up on top of the bank. Now coming down into outside zone number 2. We're seeing him push out wide. Great job by Dean there. Now moving back around. Nice whip by Dean, but see, he really goes wide there. And like you said, almost parks it, but because of the wetness, he was able to save it. But certainly that's going to count against him as Odie transitions a little bit tighter, tries to gain that proximity, but Dean goes out wide to that final outside zone.
Gets really interesting here as far as let's take a look at this view here. I know Fontaine actually just requested a side-by-side. Really start splitting hairs here with it being, a slower, wet condition battle.
Yeah, there's not a huge number of big mistakes. There's a couple small ones and some medium ones. I think the judges will weigh this right here from Dean pretty poorly because he did almost stop, but the wetness may have saved him there because he did keep angle in the car and was able to get out of it. But remember, going back to the initiation, Odie had kind of a wonky initiation that may have had an effect on Dean when he angled up there. So I think that's part of the calculus that the judges are looking for in requesting some of these replays. Kind of take a look at everything in its aggregate and see if there's a way to find a winner here. But either way, it's a big battle for the championship, but also...
Here we go, side by side.
Here we go. We got Dean on the right in the lead, Odie on the lead in the left. And like you said, Jared, splitting hairs there. Odie maybe had proximity for a longer duration, but Dean, no slouch there, keeping it cool and consistent. Does a much better job through inside clip number 1 with proximity. And possibly through outside, and pretty clearly through outside zone 4 too. So judges, another tough call here, but maybe it's one of those ones where you don't really split hairs and go down the middle.
that could be it, right? Split it and everybody get a follicle. So it looks like this will be the case one more time. So it is a one more time battle between Dean Carney and Odie Bakshi's. And I believe we'll go back to the Eve Meyer and Taguchi. Lantain, going to you. We'll wrap out with you. And again, one more time battle. And like we said, splitting hairs.
Splitting hairs. Ryan, I think, had a really good way to explain it. Odie had that, it looked like a stepped initiation. He did almost like a 3-tiered initiation in the lead. And then that kind of choked up Dean a little bit, but Dean did a good job through the rest. And then the mistake I saw Dean make was over-rotated outside zone number 3, and he kind of parked it there a bit, but because it's wet, the speeds are so low, Odie was able to stay in proximity, stay in drift. They both made it through, but you still have to hold Dean responsible for that error.
Yep. All right, let's go to the second half of this battle. We saw the Eve Meyer and Kazuya Taguchi will give them a sight lap. So Eve Meyer getting into Taguchi, causing him to straighten out. So Eve Meyer was at fault of that, but we are given a sight lap because the condition did change. It wasn't as wet. You can see some smoke coming up there from Meyer. All right. Remember, this is the second half of this battle. Eve Meyer, a Formula Drift rookie. Kazuya Taguchi was campaigning on R35 there for a little bit. And then now switched over to this, and with that VR-powered S15, that seems to be more his speed. The Up Garage S15 on GT radials. And there is Yves Meyer, the Latesso BMW on Achilles tires. Running that HGK body kit. Shout out to Christos Blush, Latvian lover. So again, being nice here, giving a sight lap even though they are halfway through this battle. And Odie Bakshi's throwing some fuel. Another opportunity to look at the vehicle, utilizing the butt dyno on that first battle, now forcing them to go one more time. Odie Bakshi's owner and operator of Field Suspension. A lot of suspension education and information in that head. I know he used to race motorcycles and then parked the bikes and picked up cars, but a lot of information in that Bakshi's helmet.
And back to the battle at hand here, Jared, just to get us caught up. We remember that the rain started coming down right as these drivers were initiating, and it sounds like the judges gave fault to Yves Meyer on the collision between the two front wheels. And so this is the second half of that battle.
Here we go, Yves Meyer leading. Wow, coming in hot, even with the wet conditions, feeling confident about that BMW and quickly pulling away from Kazuya Taguchi. Looks like the conditions are drying up and absolutely risking it for the biscuit. Yves Meyer now into that second outer zone, kind of overshoots it, but just one tire exploding. That, oh, look at that, getting into and taking that wide line. Yves Meyer missing that front clip. And look at Kazuya Taguchi, way tight is Taguchi. That got really interesting there, Ryan. Now remember, Yves Meyer was at a deficit because he, as you said, caused that accident, but a really interesting line there from Meyer.
Yeah, this is that kind of that weird part of the drying effect that happens where some parts of the course are more drier than others, and it seems like Taguchi did not anticipate what Yves was going to do here and got out to a big jump. Not an inactive chase, but really not a factor on the big bank. Yves goes a little bit too deep in that second outside zone, but the third one he really overshoots, goes up to the wall, and that would have been a great opportunity had Taguchi been in proximity to attack there, but he was on the wrong line, or he's on a tighter line, and then he transitioned a little bit earlier. So this was not the cleanest from either driver.
Not the prettiest, would you say?
Not the prettiest, yeah, going back old school style. You can see Yves just set up, he got late, super late into the third outside zone and then pushed way wide. Like I said, a really good opportunity for Taguchi to attack, but I think the scores are starting to come in, so let's see where we go with this one.
All right, do we have a verdict here? I have to assume that it's going to go Taguchi's way. And unfortunately for Yves, after that first battle, and there you go, Kazuya Taguchi gets the win. He advances on. He'll be going against Dylan Hughes, who's up next with his bye run. Unfortunately, because the sheriff, João Berrion from Brazil, in his Corvette has popped his engine. So very unfortunate for him. But Dylan Hughes is stoked because the Permatex Fast Orange Achilles tire BMW will be advancing on into the top 16. So Fast Orange and a fast advance into the top 16. Could see, again, the new livery here for this doubleheader weekend. So throw it down to Lorette Nickel, who's down in the pits with Odie Bakshi's.
Odie, I know there's a lot of stuff going on right now. Your team in the front of your car.
Let's get the rack so it's not all burping over it.
Again, guys, driver, owner, team owner, director, and tell us what is going on right now.
So my team's doing a phenomenal job getting this thing back to actually driving shape, and we're just tightening up some of the odds and ends after we rattled it loose on a pretty sweet run with Dean Carney. So, we did a lot of stuff that is, we kind of patched things up, put Band-Aids on, and we're just making sure everything's safe to go.
Okay, where's your confidence level? Because you told me you weren't that confident throwing it into drift on the bank.
Honestly, when it started raining, I'm like, it's anyone's game.
Right.
So we'll see how the conditions are now.
Okay, Odie, thanks.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you, Laurent Nickel. And yeah, so seeing some picture-in-picture there. Dylan Hughes completing his bye run. Boom, there he is into the top 16 in that fast orange Permatex BMW. He is advancing on as Odie Bakshish and Dean Carney will be the final battle of the top 32. And as we can see, conditions drying up a little bit here. And so, yeah. Okay, as Dean Carney, Odie Bakshish, our final battle. And let's take a look at the bracket here, Ryan. This is how it's shaping up. One battle left to go. I'll talk about the left side. You'll take the right. But Taylor Hull gets that bye run. Unfortunately, Jeff Jones unable to make it to the line for his bye run. Adam LZ makes his introduction into his first pro top 16 battle. He's going against the former champ Michael Essa, which is going to be a good one. So he better bring his A game. Frederick Osbo and Ryan Turk 1 and 2 at round 1, with Ryan Turk currently in second in points. And then rounding out that side of the bracket, Chris Forsberg versus Matt Field, which should be another really good battle, Ryan.
Yeah, on the right-hand side, setting up pretty solidly as well, Jared. Daijiro Yoshihara taking on Chelsea Denofo. Wataru Masayama getting through. He will now face Justin Pollock. Vaughn Gittin Jr. will face the winner of this next battle, which has got everybody's attention. That's Odie Bakshish and Dean Carney. And then, of course, Taguchi just got the win against Yves Meyer. He's going up against Dylan Hughes. And certainly, you know, there are really no easy battles in the top 16 on either side of the bracket. But obviously, we've saved, not intentionally, probably one of the most critical for the top 32 in this last one here. And as Odie said, the rain seems to be an equalizer as he's trying to get his car back together. And that gives a real open opportunity for Dean Carney here. They had time to fix his car. He looked pretty solid. Made one mistake that if he can correct it, you know, in that outside zone 2, may give him a chance here. And we really still don't know, and we probably won't know until after it's all said and done, just how much damage Odie's car actually took. But let's make it happen. Let's get it underway. Let's fill that top 16.
Yeah, let's fill top 16. Odie Bakshish, Dean Carney. Are we going to get a victor? Who's going against Vaughn Gittin Jr.? No sight laps here. They did complete them on that first battle. Two very hardworking teams. Round of applause for them. I just always want to acknowledge the people behind the scenes. You know, it's not just about the driver. They have their hardworking teams, and Odie acknowledging them, thrashing to get the car up to snuff. And I know Dean and his team worked hard from Thursday night into Friday morning. Dean Carney, his vehicle operated by a new team, Arclight Racing. Arclight, you might be familiar with Aaron Kaufman, previously from Fast and Loud, had his own show as well, and now entering into the drifting world, a friend of many of the drifters, as he's competed in many different forms of racing as well. Looks like Dean Carney warming up his Achilles tires underneath his Oracle Lighting Dodge Viper.
You can see the burnout box clock extinguishing, so he's got to get to the line now. There we go. 30 seconds for each driver maximum they can use in the burnout box.
It's like a, it's like a shot clock.
Yeah, it's basically so there's predictability for the lead driver. Before we had that instituted, you had drivers that would burn out for 15 seconds and those that would burn out for a minute and a half. And sometimes a driver can feel like he's getting iced on the start line when that happens. And so we've implemented a 30-second maximum for each driver.
Calling a timeout right before they're about to kick the ball. The old ice kicker. All right, here we go. Last battle, top 32. Who's going to take it? Odie or Dean Carney? First run, first portion, and half of this battle. Odie Bakshish initiates into the bank, past the point of no return. Oh, and Dean Carney, big correction from him. Shuts it down mid-bank. Odie Bakshish continues on. Ryan, like you said, this has championship implications as far as points go, and Odie Bakshish into the third outer zone. And a correction by Odie Bakshish.
An incomplete, not just a correction, an incomplete.
Oh, man.
0-0. So
Ryan, that is huge.
Let's
huge.
explain that. So in the chase position, we clearly had an incomplete from Dean. He shut it down. He stopped driving inexplicably. Obviously, there could be a mechanical issue there. With Odie, as the lead driver, he still needs to finish the run because he basically does not have anybody in front of him. It's still his responsibility to finish the run all the way through. Because he didn't do that, that means that Odi Bakshis has an incomplete or a 0 in his lead, and Dean Carney in the chase position also has an incomplete. So basically, forget about this run. This run is essentially meaningless. We're going to go to the next battle where Dean is going to lead.
Right.
But before I get to that, the tricky part here is Odi does not have competition timeout. He already used it. So he's got to go right to the line.
Yep.
And if it is a mechanical, we've got big problems for him. All right, now that that's put to the side, if they are able to make it to the line, it's whoever does best in the second run by the lead and chase driver goals.
Yep. Oh, the plot thickens for Odi Bakshis and Dean Carney, man. So we are hearing, all right, we are hearing that Dean Carney is calling a competition timeout. You can see him frustrated, taking off of his arm restraints.
Let me explain that too.
Please.
Let me explain that too. So Dean is calling a competition timeout. That doesn't mean that Odi can put hands on car. It means he has to sit off to the side. So the only person that can get hands on car is Dean Carney. And unfortunately, both drivers now, after this period of time, will have used up their competition timeout, 1 per weekend, or 1 per competition in this case. And so whoever makes it through is going to be in a really tough position should they find themselves needing it somewhere down the road.
Yeah, and the competition timeout begins begins right when the vehicle is in the pits and they get hands on the vehicle. So it does not start now. We'll get him towed off the course in the NGK competition timeout. We are almost
so close to ending on time.
So close to finishing out the NOS Energy Drink Top 32. NOS, the official energy drink of Formula Drift. Hey, also, joining the fun, download Torque Drift, a special challenge event this weekend on Formula Drift Monroe. And drift with your friends and battle against professional drivers like Dai, Odi, and the RTR crew to earn unique crates, titles, and prizes in Torque Drift. Drift available in iOS, Android, and early access on Steam for PC. Download now and stay sideways. Also, buy any 5 quarts of Royal Purple High Performance Motor Oil and receive a free box of work gloves. Again, this goes all over until September 29th, online and in U.S. stores. So, qualifying purchase must be made from an O'Reilly Auto Parts, not valid in combination with any other offer, rebate, no cash value. So again, buy any 5 quarts, receive a free box of gloves, courtesy of Royal Purple and O'Reilly Auto Parts. And there it is, Torque Drift. Join Torque Drift on Twitch. Win Bullion exclusive titles and watch the live stream. So, again, join the fun, download it. Special challenge event this weekend on Formula Drift Monroe. Drift with your friends, battle against professionals, and join the Torque Drift in live stream event alongside the Formula Drift Top 16 Pro 1 event. Special prizes, crates, and titles on offer. So join Open Lobby and get drifting with players from all around the world. Download it now on iOS, Android, and Steam. Early access to drive Formula Drift cars and battle it out here in Monroe this weekend. All right, so you can see Dean Carney get pulled up on the, might just tow him off actually. Instead of putting him on the flatbed, that'll be a shorter amount of time.
Yeah, this is a weird set of circumstances here.
Yeah.
The double zeros from the lead and chase happen, but they're relatively uncommon.
Right.
It does. I can think of maybe a handful of incidents within the past, what, 4 or 5 years, maybe.
Yeah. Very, very rare scenario. But that's the wackiness of Seattle, man. Between the weather and all that. So.
That's a wackiness of this sport in general.
Right. For sure.
That's what I love about it.
All right, and looks like, yeah, we will. Looks like we will tow Dean off. We're not going to put him up on the flatbed, so that should expedite getting him to the pits, and so we don't have to pull him all the way on the flatbed, and then get him off. So that'll hopefully be a little quicker there as Dean will jump in his Dodge Viper. So hopefully the rain holds off. Ryan, have you looked at the forecast at all for the remainder of the event today and even going into tomorrow?
Tomorrow definitely looks like
more promising.
it's been the best day since we've been here. I don't know how much that's saying, but in terms of the
I'm not seeing rain anymore.
Yeah, in terms of the afternoon, it does look like there's like some clouds around us, maybe some storms kind of in the general proximity, but you can see we're kind of right in the middle of it.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I'm just looking at a weather map right now, but I think it's possible we could still see a slight bit of rain, but it's more dry than it was yesterday.
And we've got some downtime here. We were talking about it yesterday when we went to Southeast Asia with Marcus and Jeremy and the whole gang in Southeast Asia. Maybe brighten people's day by what happened with the weather there, man.
Yeah, I mean, we were full tsunami, tornado, everything, and then just break for half an hour, come back, track's completely flooded, suck the water out, and go at it again.
Yep. But what I was getting to is they'd actually bring in a weather specialist, aka what I was getting at is that actually in Southeast Asia, when we competed there for 5 years in between Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia, I remember vividly Malaysia, the practice day, it was torrential. It was just dumping in buckets, and it flooded the VIP, actually the suite, and then and they brought in a witch doctor. And they did a prayer, and basically the next day there was no rain, not a single drop. And then the event, remember at Singapore that one time, they brought in a witch doctor for every event to have good weather, and literally gave away the trophies, and then it dumped, and the skies were open. Tony Angelo came over there that year. Remember that out at that exhibition center? That was wild.
Yeah, that was the fun year, especially going to Thailand. Yeah, you always knew that the witch doctor had made an appearance because there would be a pile of chilies surrounded by a bunch of other accoutrements. And so that's when you knew the witch doctor was in the mix.
So we're seeing Dean Carney being pulled off. Odie, can't touch your car, bro. So as we'll take a break here, Dean Carnage Carney living up to his nickname, man. He doesn't want to. Maybe we should say Dean Smooth Sailing Carney, and then it'll go better for him. But a hard-working team gets back in. We are one more half of a battle away to find out and forge our top 16 here at round 3 of the Formula Drift. And an update here from the pits, and we are hearing an update. So why not just throw it down to Lorette Nickel? Lorette, you're down in the pits. What's going on?
Oh, guys, this is devastating. The 5 minutes was called. Dean said that they're done. Dean, what happened?
I'm pretty sure we broke the input shaft. Came back in after one more time. The boys put a ton of more grip in it, and I gave it a clutch kick on the bank just to try catch up with Odie again, and I'd say I done the damage. So it's having a bad start to the season, and that's the way it goes sometimes. It's motorsports, but we'll get it fixed up, and we'll be back out tomorrow to fight.
Okay, Dean, thank you so much for your time, guys. Back.
Thank you, Lorette. Such a bummer. So bummed. Thank you, Lorette, again. And such a bummer for Dean. Again, we need to change the nickname to Dean Smooth Sailing Carney, not Carnage, bud. Ryan?
Yeah, that's a really big break for Odie Bakshis, to be honest. I mean, this battle, even coming out of his own camp, from him saying, you know, it really could go either way in these conditions. Dean had the break in the chase run, and Odie, you know, kind of gifted him an opportunity,
right.
But unfortunately, this is not something that can be repaired in the standard competition timeout 5-minute allotment. So that means that Odie will probably get in the burnout box right now and then go do what is essentially the second half of the run alone, which will grant him the victory and probably a massive sigh of relief into the top 16.
Well, we've never had this scenario. I mean, I guess we did earlier for Jeff Jones, wasn't able to complete his bye run, but does he just need to turn wheels, or does he, I mean, I guess if he just runs the course, you know, he doesn't necessarily need to drift.
The way the rule is written is they have to show that the vehicle can cross a line under its own power.
Right.
And I can give you the history of that rule and why it's important and all that kind of stuff. But
I remember that. Yeah, we won't get into it. I want to go grab some lunch because we have our top 16 set as long as Odie Bakshis pulls to the line and rips through the course. And again, now he just got a huge gift from Dean Carnage Carney, so he's definitely going to need to buy him some beer and thank him for that. But I don't think that'll soften the blow. But like Dean said, he'll be back out here tomorrow. So this solidifies once Odie crosses that line. This will solidify he will be advancing on the top 16, and he'll go against Vaughn Gittin Jr. So Odie Bakshis has now officially will be advancing on the top 16. Odie Bakshi, without the tires, full suspension. S15 advances on into the top 16. All right, so we are just a little bit beyond schedule, but we're only going to have a few moments because guess what? In just about half an hour at 2:45, we'll be back on with our opening ceremonies, Ryan. And there it is. Odie Bakshi advances on the top 16. We've seen the bracket. We know what's been going on, but an exciting top 32. If this is any indication of what's going to unfold in the top 16, you're going to want to stick around. This is round 3 of the Formula J Pro Championship. And there is, I'm sure these guys are already going to start working in the car. Here are some highlights from earlier today. Adam LZ, he is making his first top 16 in pro competition, going through Ken Gucci. Adam LZ, arguably one of the best looking cars, but it looks even better if it's on the podium. So Adam LZ in the Juku Racing S15 is advancing on. Also, Frederick Osbo, we talked about just how well he has adapted to that brand new car, Ryan, taking out Jonathan Aaron.
Yeah, and in these adapting or the needing to adapt type of conditions, Osbo seems very well suited for this track. He kind of quietly went through his top 32 battle, but we know that he's an expert in wet conditions if those do become a continued factor. We obviously saw the battle between Alec Robbins charging coming out of St. Louis, but Chelsea Denofa still on a hot one after his win and his bruised and broken heel. Looks like he's still got enough power to put the pedal down, and it's all coming up in the top 16, Jared.
Yeah, really excited about it. Like I said, we have a